with that team being all of the parties, their attorneys, and myself, and we'll come back to that in a minute.
Yeah, we'll come back to that after a break. Okay, here's our second trivia question, and again, we're in the studio with Phil Diamond, who's an attorney who specializes in mediation. Here's the second trivia question. This horse had his own show and could talk to his owner and usually said, Wilbur. The first three callers with the correct answer win a free 3-day, 2-night stay at the Lighthouse Resort. Their website is lighthouseforfun.com. Call 888-912-1190. That's 888-912-1190 to answer this question. This horse had his own show and could talk to his owner and usually said, Wilbur. That's not too bad, huh?
Really
Okay, call 888-912-1190. Make sure to include your name, address, and email address and phone number also. We'll be right back.
He did so good, we have to call that horse Mr. Edward.
Yeah.
I like that.
I'm going to charge you for that, okay?
Very good.
Well, see, I'm taking all the credit, but he's giving all the answers because he wrote this one down today. You know what I knew what it was when I'm looking at his paper. He's not going to write the next one down.
You know what? Say all of that. I love that. That's great. That is exactly the first part and then that part too. That's correct.
Yeah, you did such a
Oh,
good
Jason,
job.
Of course. Of course.
The amazing Mr.
You
Ed.
know, so funny. There was one episode. They had like a quick little blurb on the TV land or something, right? He's playing chess with Wilbur, right? And so Wilbur, says checkmate. And so Mr. Ed says, "Oh, I would have beaten you if I hadn't swallowed my bishop."
Oh my gosh.
A couple of times I've played for people. You bubble-headed booby. That was great.
9:44.
44. Okay. I'm using off a few seconds because I don't do it right after.
I'm
But that's fine.
roughly shaved the 10 seconds.
They have enough leeway.
Yeah, that's what I
I
hope. Alright.
Okay. Look before we start.
Yeah,
Okay. In the third segment, why don't we have you were. What were we doing? Weren't you just finishing up?
We were about to talk about preparation and what makes mediation work.
Okay. Well, how about finishing that up, and then we'll go into what's going on with you guys.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Absolutely.
Okay.
All right, let me research here a topic to talk about that might be interesting then.
That's been some good segments. It's good information.
Is this the final segment on mediation now?
Yes.
Probably
Because
is,
the
yeah.
fourth is going to be short anyway because you've got some stuff.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
the stuff that we didn't cover last time is all the stuff that's coming up now,
Oh, what? Okay. What do you got?
which is a bit more about preparation, the mediation itself, talking about timing and the process, caucus negotiation, and then a little bit about what doesn't work.
I'd like the what doesn't work.
What doesn't work, yeah,
So
absolutely.
let's not worry about the caucus part.
Okay.
Why don't we? Because we've got the
Okay.
full fourth segment, and we still have in the third.
Okay.
So why don't we take a couple of minutes to, if
Yeah.
we can, go over
Okay.
the
Talk a bit more about preparation and the
preparation
mediation
and
itself.
what doesn't work.
Yeah.
Also, yeah.
And then the fourth segment is not me.
Generally, yeah, we're going to be
Got it.
with it. Yeah.
Okay.
But stick around. You might have questions.
No, I understand. I'm just trying to figure out how much time I have left to get
Yeah.
in what we didn't get in last time.
Okay.
Do you have any news articles or anything to talk about?
I didn't. I'm just talking about what was notable from the private lender conference that I went to
Oh,
this
cool.
weekend.
Perfect.
Yeah, because you each got one to spectacular.
Yeah.
Yeah, although I was on the other side of the table, so I didn't get to learn anything. I was just talking. I was
Okay,
just
I'm going to
yakking.
cut you for the answer to give those two things today. Okay, that's fine. You ready?
Yeah, I'm ready.
3 minute. This is 10-minute, 9-minute cut, just like last time. Mike's hot.
Well, welcome back to the Best of Investing. I'm Edward Brown, your host, along with Mark Hunt and Brian Burke. And when we cut to the second commercial break, we asked this trivia question. This horse had his own show and could talk to his owner and usually said, Wilbur. All right, Brian.
Well, I think you did really good with that voiceover, so I think we should call it Mr. Edward.
Mr. Edward, that's right. Okay, what's the real answer?
I think it's
Ed.
well, it's Mr.
Mr.
Ed,
Ed, yeah.
but I have a confession to make though. I really wasn't born yet when these movies came out. I think so. I've been looking. Mark keeps writing the answers to the questions down in his paper here. I've been actually copying off of
Copying,
him.
cheating off of it.
Yeah, that's right.
You saying I'm an old man?
I didn't say that at all. I just said you have all the answers, and I'm copying them.
Okay, we are in the studio with Phil Diamond, who's an expert in mediation. He's an attorney. And Phil, take it away. There's a couple of things you want to finish up with.
Right, before we broke away, Ed, we were talking about the preparations necessary to get the mediation properly teed up to maximize the potential for resolution. I think one of the most important jobs that a mediator has is to make sure that everything is in place well before the parties ever get together. And what that means, first of all, is that all the necessary people are actually there and participating. And by that I mean people with actual binding settlement authority to make decisions on the spot if necessary. If there are any insurance issues that need to be resolved, that those have been addressed beforehand and that appropriate insurance representatives are involved in the mediation. It's also important to make sure enough information has been exchanged and developed by both sides before the mediation happens to make sure that each side knows enough about what's at stake and the strong points and the weaknesses of their respective cases so that they can make settlement decisions based upon some meaningful input. And also to make sure, and this is again something that I think is important that the mediator do before the parties ever get together, make sure that any other impediments to resolution have been dealt with. And those impediments may include things like lack of insurance or lack of assets on the part of the party that is on the other side of the lawsuit and against whom a claim is made. Make sure if there are any personality issues that may impact on the process, that the mediator knows about them so he or she can deal with them as necessary.
Yeah, I've heard of situations where someone's reached across the table and started choking the other guy.
Sure.
But tell us what doesn't work for mediation.
Well, one of the things that doesn't work is if the parties mediate before they're actually ready to resolve the dispute. And sometimes they're not ready if they haven't exchanged enough information yet. One of the things that I always insist upon is that the parties exchange mediation briefs at least a week in advance of the mediation, so each side, and more importantly, or as importantly, their lawyers and the parties as well, can review the other side's positions and make some meaningful responses to them. Sometimes I have to say there are situations where the parties, particularly when it's just at the very beginning of a lawsuit, where they haven't, what we can refer to as they haven't hurt enough in order to realize that there needs to be an end to this process. And by hurting, what I mean is that they haven't spent enough and realized how expensive the process really is, or they haven't put in enough of an emotional investment to realize that this is something that they need to put behind
Yeah,
them.
sometimes people just say, I'll never settle for anything.
Exactly.
Yeah, go ahead, Mark.
He answered the question. Although what I really like, my best takeaway from the show, Phil, today is just is I think is the preemptive nature of contracts and having in a contract. If you're going to get into a partnership with someone or into an important contract, is having the language in there that talks about, you know, at first we're going to subject it to we're going to process through mediation, and then if that doesn't work in arbitration, I think that's really key.
Absolutely, that's called planning ahead of time.
Planning ahead, absolutely.
And one other thing I would mention as one of the most important things that can derail a mediation and end it when it really shouldn't be ended is if the parties or even the mediator gives up too soon. I think the key is you cannot give up too soon. You've got to be patient. You've got to give the process the opportunity to play out. And most times, given that and given the goodwill of the participants, cases can be resolved.
Well, thank you very much, Phil. It's like a marathon with your the one that lasted till 6 a.m. the next morning. We've been in the studio with Phil Diamond, who's an expert in mediation. And before we forget, Phil, how do people get a hold of you if they need to mediate?
Sure, they can visit my website at www.diamonddispute-resolution.com or call me at 415-492-4500.
Great, thank you. We're going to shoot right on over to Mark. Mark, you were gone last week and missed you, and now
I
you're
heard you had a
back.
good show.
We did.
I was at a conference of basically of the California Private Lenders Association, and it was you know, as always, it's a very interesting conference. I mean, I go there you know, to keep up with compliance issues, and we've talked a lot on previous shows about all the new laws and regulations that are out there that are restricting the types of loans that we can make, and it's one of the reasons why at Pacific Private Money, we don't make consumer home loans anymore because there's just too many regulations now that, in terms of verifying income and all of that, and our business model for most private lenders nowadays is to make loans to real estate investors who are buying, fixing, and flipping. But one of the things that was interesting is there was a round table, like at one of the very first sessions of the conference, and every table was supposed to discuss what they thought, where they thought the economy was going, where they thought real estate was going in 2012, and, you know, in terms of our industry, what did that mean for us in terms of you know, having a profitable year? And, you know, no surprise, most of the tables felt that the economy was not necessarily going to be improving next year, that we don't know that we've actually hit the bottom. Although I think the general consensus is that 2012 and 2013 are going to be maybe notable from maybe a lack of growth, but
Stagnant.
but that doesn't mean a lack of opportunity, and that's what's really key. And because real estate is pricing in most markets in the Bay Area is kind of, you know, at or near the bottom, or even maybe could in some markets go down a little bit more. That the opportunity is still there because the market doesn't move that quickly, because real estate takes a while. It may take a year to go down another 5 or 10%, if it does, and I'm not saying it will. I mean, we may be in the bottom now, and we may just see stagnant and no appreciation for several years potentially, but that doesn't mean you can't make money in real estate, because you absolutely can. The prices are so good right now and the rents are so strong that you can acquire property and you can leverage it with a private money loan, even at rates of, say, 10%, and still have positive cash
Well,
flow.
remind our listeners what you do for a living, because we have a lot of new listeners. It's amazing how popular the show is getting.
Well, I'm president of Pacific Private Money. We're based in Marin County, and we make privately funded loans. We make private money loans to real estate investors to help them acquire property to either fix and flip or to hold for rental income. We usually loan no more than 65% of the purchase price or 65% of the appraised value, so we're not making high percentage loans. We don't make 80% loans, so we're not like the banking days of yore where you could highly leverage financing. Those days are gone right now. So we're really working with people who have some capital, or they have a partner with money and they don't want to buy all cash. They want to take advantage of leverage because it will boost your yields to use even private leverage. So our primary clients are investors. And on the flip side, the people who fund our loans are Bay Area individuals who are frustrated with the non-existent savings rates at banks
Many of
right
our
now.
listeners.
Right, and they and many of our listeners, many of my clients are using either their IRA funds if they're self-directed, or just money that they have liquid that might be in a CD, or maybe they're frustrated with the stock market and they've recently gone out of the stock market. We take idle funds and we invest those in these short-term real estate secured notes, and they're secure. They're as secure as if they were Bank of America. You are the bank when you invest in what's called a trust deed secured note. They pay returns starting at 8%, between 8 and 10% fixed interest on your savings. So it's actually it's an excellent opportunity.
Great. Thank you very much, Mark. Next segment, we're going to get into Brian, because he's got some awesome things that he went to a seminar, and he's got some excellent information for us. We are going to go to the third and final break, and here is the trivia question. This 1995 film starred a talking pig that learns how to shepherd sheep. Name the pig, and you'll name the film. The first 3 callers with the correct answer win a free 3-day, 2-night stay at the Lighthouse Resort. Their website is lighthouse4fun.com. Mark, you're cheating again, looking over at, Brian, you're cheating and looking at Mark's paper again.
Yes, he is.
Okay. Their website is lighthouse4fun.com. Call 888-912-1190. That's 888-912-1190 to answer this question. This 1995 film starred a talking pig that learns to shepherd sheep. Name the pig, and you'll name the film. Again, call 888-912-1190. Make sure to include your name, address, email address, and phone number, and we will be right back.
I can pick